Extreme Championship Wrestling.
This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 718. Make sure you check out markinout.com. Listen to us, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Wherever else you're listening to podcasts, give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Also, buy a t-shirt over at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Give us a like on Facebook. Give us a follow on Instagram at markinout11. On TikTok at markinout. On Twitter at markinout. And you can follow me, myself, and I, Dave the Rave, on all social media platforms at David PTD PT. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog and CM Sweeney85 on Twitter and Instagram. And you can check out Brandon at BTTG161. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
I am doing amazing and tired. Ready for sleep. This daylight savings or day pumping ahead, it pumping backwards, it's throwing me off.
Yeah, it's thrown me off. But I will say I like it because the WWE 2K servers aren't on daylight savings, so you had to previously wait till noon for everything to update in the My Faction gimmick. Now it's 11 a.m., so you could get stuff done earlier than than noon.
Well, that's always nice.
Yeah.
That's
But
always
how
nice.
was your week?
My week was great. How was yours?
I actually went to Fogo on Friday.
Fogo, for sure. How
And
was it?
I got just the market table, and I ate a ton of chicken salad, but it was good, by the way, I'll say that. But there were two sisters that were sitting near me, probably in their 60s. And I don't want to say they were entitled, but I watched them go into the drawer multiple times to get their own silverware, which that threw me for a loop. Then they took the
What do you mean
oil
go
and
through the
vinegar,
drawer?
like
What does that
where
mean?
the server station, and they weren't workers.
What?
Yeah, and then they took the oil and vinegar from the buffet to their table as if that's like a normal thing to do.
Since when are you able to do that?
Like, what if I wanted to get oil and vinegar? I have to be like, excuse me, I have to go over to their table and take it? In what world?
Yeah.
And then one of the women, which the only reason why I knew they were sisters was because in the argument she said something about this being her sister. She argued with the waitress over the price of a glass of wine that she ordered, claiming that she specifically said to get the $5 glass and not the $16 glass of wine. Meanwhile, they don't even have a $5 glass of wine. And I'm pretty sure if that conversation was going on right next to me, I would have heard that whole thing. So I'm going to say that there's no way that actual conversation took place between her and the first waitress.
Uh-huh.
So I couldn't believe that I was witnessing a table like that.
Over a 16...
Well, I mean, that's a ridiculous price for a glass of wine, but in the same
some
sense,
glasses of wine are expensive.
Yeah, but in the same sense, I feel like the price should be ironed out, like, in your mind. Like, read the menu before you order.
If you're not able to pay for something, then, don't order it.
And I don't know if they got a second glass or what. I was gone before that would have taken place.
So she just didn't know that she ordered a $16 glass of wine?
She quote unquote told the waitress, "Give me the $5. I'm not paying $16." But there's no such thing as a $5 glass. And I feel like I would have heard that conversation if it happened, because I heard literally every other conversation they had.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sounds like this person just wanted some drama.
Or
that's what I
something
think.
free,
Some
maybe.
drama for your mama.
Yeah. But outside of that, I watched Crown Jewel taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It opened with the Bloodline picking up the victory over the OG Bloodline. I thought it was interesting. Commentary later pointed it out, but I thought it was quite interesting from the get-go that even though they all held up the ones on SmackDown, Jay entered separately. You would think that they would come out as a unit, but I guess that's being saved for what I can only assume will be War Games.
Yeah, I agree. I would have saved it too. And especially because Jay Uso, his entrance is so over right now.
The people singing it loud as can be. I thought that was great. It was nice to see the Usos working together again. And at one point, the crowd was chanting for Roman Reigns, and Jay teased tagging him in. But then he tagged Jimmy instead. I feel like got some boos over there for not tagging in Roman.
For tagging Jimmy instead of Jay?
No, for tagging Jimmy instead of Roman.
Oh.
He did eventually tag Roman Reigns in, and Roman went face-to-face with Solo Sikoa. Solo reversed a spear and hit Roman with the Samoan spike. And at the very, very last second, I'm sure this would be like something that if there was another angle, people would be like, oh my God, this is the Usos suck or something like that. At the very last second, Jimmy Uso broke that pin up. And then Tama Tonga got tossed on. He got tossed into the referee. The Bloodline were able to take advantage of that, and Solo hit 2 more spikes to pick up that victory.
So what's your take on... First off, do you think that I guess we'll say the new Bloodline, do you think that they had to pick up the victory right now?
Yeah. It only makes sense. Because then, there's, a break in the original Bloodline. And we see that on Monday Night Raw. We see that after the fact. The Bloodline attacked the OG Bloodline. Solo wrapped a chair around Jay's neck and went to do that hip attack, but Sami Zayn came out and stopped them. We saw Sami and Solo talking to one another the other week on Monday Night Raw. And Solo tried to hug Sami Zayn while the crowd was chanting Sami Uso. And he looked back at Jay, he went in for that hug, and instead he hits the exploder suplex on Solo Sikoa. He goes up against the Bloodline. The OGs got back into it, and it left Solo Sikoa surrounded by all 4, I'm going to say all 4 members of the Bloodline.
Yeah, say
and Roman went for a Superman punch at the same time when Sami Zayn went for a haluva kick, and he knocked Roman Reigns down with that haluva kick, which led to Jimmy and Sami arguing. We'll talk more about that in a moment with Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I think that the execution of this was really special, though.
Yeah, I thought this was great.
Yeah,
I think a fantastic storyline. I don't have any complaints.
I agree. And I think that the way that they executed that spot with the haluva kick, it was done really good.
But if you watch it back, or you're just a fan watching it, you could clearly tell. There's no way Sami Zayn was going for Roman Reigns there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Monday Night Raw gets a little wonky, but I get it
but
for
that's
storyline purposes. Yeah, I understand it.
That's good. It's going to leave us to speculation and stuff like that, and who to trust who. I'm a big fan of it.
After that, we saw the tag team champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill pick up the victory over Metaphor, Chelsea Green, and Piper Niven. as well as Damage Control to retain the tag team titles. We officially lost Samantha Irvin's intro in Chelsea's theme song. And now it's Chelsea Green doing the intro, which it makes sense, but I guess I wasn't expecting that. I just didn't think
I'm
that,
okay with her.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Huh?
I'm fine with us losing that.
I'm okay with her doing the intro. It just it sucks that it's not her anymore.
Michael Cole did make mention of the Internet Champion, though, so I popped for that. Not by
that
name,
true.
but
that was a
by
big
the
pop.
actual championship, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said not the actual person's name, not Matt Cardona, but the championship's name.
The championship, yeah.
I liked when Jade Cargill had Chelsea Green in a move, and Lash Legend tagged herself in, so Jade threw Chelsea at Lash Legend, and Lash caught Chelsea and dropped her. I thought that was nice. And then later on, they were going back and forth with one another. Chelsea Green really played up that comedic aspect very nicely in this. Like that moonsault spot where she kept getting lower and lower and lower, and then accidentally dove onto Piper instead, who caught her. But I thought that was nice. And then I thought the jaded that was hit on Chelsea Green was going to be the end of the match. But match kept going. The double team powerbomb from Metaphor was probably my favorite move from this event.
Yeah, that was a really nice spot, and I was happy to see them having such a spectacular spot within the match of well-established wrestlers.
I think if you were to ask me what teams shine the most in that match, it was them. Definitely, I would say Metaphor.
You have to. I think that to come out of this matchup correctly, I feel like you had to say that. Like, I feel like in order for this match to really work, we have to come out saying either Metaphor or Chelsea and Piper were standouts. Just because the other two tag teams are really already very established.
Not taking anything away from the other teams at all, even so.
Of course. No.
And then the champions, of course, ended the match with the Doomsday Device on Piper Niven to retain. So I'd like that you get to see the strength of Jade Cargill there, so.
Yeah. But next up, Seth frickin' Rollins picked up the victory over Bronson Reed. I was surprised. I was surprised that Reed didn't get the victory on this one.
Did we both pick Bronson Reed? I don't remember.
I don't know.
They didn't even wait for the match to start, though. They brawled up on the ramp. They continued to fight outside the ring, and I think they definitely needed that with the build that they had. Yeah. And then the match finally started. Bronson Reed went for a tsunami, and he went for another one. Seth Rollins moved out of the way. And then Seth eventually hit a curb stomp. The match continued for quite a long time after that. And they beat the heck out of one another. Later in the match, Bronson Reed attempted to hit more tsunamis. Seth Rollins kept rolling out of the way before he could hit it. And then Seth ended up tripping Bronson Reed while Bronson Reed had the steel steps in his hand. So he landed down on the steps. And Seth Rollins hit a curb stomp on the steps. And again, when he got back in the ring, and then he hit a top rope curb stomp to actually finish Bronson Reed off. So many curb stomps put Bronson Reed away. So he continues to look like a monster, even though he lost.
Yeah, and he is a beast. He is a beast, and I think that he could definitely fit into the championship scene for each championship, which is very unique. Like Bronson Reed, I can see him as, I forgot which one, the Universal is Raw?
It's World Heavyweight Champion or
World
WWE
Heavyweight
Champion, I guess.
So, yeah, I could see him carrying that one. I could see him as the IC champ. I could see him as the US champ. I could, it's very unique that you could see a wrestler in actually every single championship scene. And I think that the way that they have rebuilt up Bronson Reed, he fits in a unique category where he could actually be a competitor for the World Heavyweight or WWE.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
next up, you had Liv Morgan pick up the victory over Nia Jax to win the Crown Jewel Championship. I think that I expected this to happen, and I think that it's deserved. I'm happy that Liv Morgan was the Crown Jewel champion.
I could be completely wrong, but I feel like you picked Nia Jax to win. Unless I picked Nia Jax to win, I don't remember.
I honestly can't remember either. I
It was
could have
weird.
picked Nia Jax.
It was weird hearing Liv Morgan cheered, though. I thought that was interesting. And Liv Morgan ended up working on Nia Jax's leg throughout the match. Further in the match, Liv Morgan hit a sunset flip powerbomb to Nia Jax. And Tiffany Stratton ran down to cash in, or to tease a cash in, I guess. And Nia Jax confronted Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany was like, I was going to cash in on Liv. I was going to cash in on Liv. And Nia Jax made her leave, but she stayed there. And continued to tease the cash in. Raquel Rodriguez showed up to fight with Tiffany Stratton. Dominic showed up. I could swear to God they said Dominic was not in Saudi Arabia because he wasn't allowed in or something. I forget what they said. But Dom showed up as well.
Really?
I think so. I guess given like the arrest gimmick, maybe. I don't know. I think they said something like that.
Yeah, honestly, like if they said that and it was played up because of his arrest, that would be legit hilarious if that was what they were intending.
I think. Maybe not, though. I don't. Maybe I'm misremembering. But Liv Morgan and Raquel cornered Tiffany Stratton, and Nia Jax crushed them. She went for the Annihilator. Dominic Mysterio threw that Money in the Bank briefcase into the ring, so Raquel could use that and attack Nia Jax, and then Liv Morgan hit the Oblivion to pick up the victory. I'm happy with that outcome.
Yeah, I'm okay with all of this that took place. I think that it was good. Next up, you had Kevin Owens taking on Randy Orton. This actually went to a no contest.
Yeah, earlier, Kevin Owens said that this wasn't something he wanted to do. And it's, like, I guess he was, like, driven to do it. I guess Randy Orton was really the person that wanted it. Kevin, in his mind, he's going crazy because Cody Rhodes, I guess, turned his back on him. And with Randy Orton siding with Cody Rhodes, it's almost as if he's turned his back on him as well. So It's not something he wanted to do. I like that Kevin Owens, for this match, goes out there wearing a Bob Orton Jr. t-shirt. On SmackDown, when he attacked, it was he was wearing an American Dream t-shirt. So Kevin Owens, again, before the match begins, attacks Randy Orton with a chair. They continued to brawl, and Kevin Owens had the upper hand at one point. The referee rips the chair away from Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens hits him with a stunner. And then Daivari took the chair from Randy Orton, and Randy Orton threw him into a ring post. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis got involved. And Randy Orton hit Adam Pearce with an RKO. He hit the manager that's not his manager, so he's like fine with that. He's not getting fined.
Yeah, he's not going to get
from Nick Aldis for that, I guess.
Yeah, he's not going to get in trouble or anything like that. And I feel like in character with Randy Orton, it fits him.
Also, Randy Orton, I believe, did pay double for a fine recently, so maybe that covers him if he will get fined. But they fought in the crowd. Kevin Owens dove off the barricade in the crowd to put Randy Orton through a table with an elbow drop. And that was the end of that segment. I'm kind of glad that we didn't get an actual match there because I don't know. I didn't want to sit there too long.
Okay. I could. There was a lot on the card, so I could understand that.
And it makes sense for the story that that's where the match went to. Especially with Kevin Owens just randomly beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes that time after the pay-per-view. PLE. So why would he not do the same thing to Randy Orton? If Randy Orton's begging for that match, that Kevin Owens does not want. So after that,
it's very true.
We had LA Knight pick up the victory over Andrade and Carmelo Hayes to retain the United States Championship. I thought Andrade would walk out champion. Stupid for thinking that, perhaps.
It would have been nice.
This was a fun match, though. It was a lot of fast-paced action. They did a lot of moves that went into, like, other moves. They did a lot of double pins. And I'm fine with LA Knight retaining the championship. That the end of this match, like I said, they did, like, moves into moves. Carmelo Hayes went for that tilt-a-whirl facebuster that he does. He was doing it on Andrade. At the same time, LA Knight caught Carmelo with the BFT. And that's how LA Knight was able to pick up the match there. Mm-hmm. What they did, all three of them in this match, was very well done.
I agree. I think that it was done really, really well. And it was a lot of fun. It was entertaining. It got the crowd so pumped up, especially after having a no contest and the events that take place with that one. I feel like having just such a high impact match like this one was a great placement.
Yeah, I think it might have gotten a "This is awesome" chant at one point too.
Yeah.
Next
up in the main event. Yeah, Cody Rhodes picking up the victory over Gunther to win the Crown Jewel Championship. Crowd
was super hot for this match.
I agree with this.
They were super hot for this, though. And at one point, they were chanted for both Cody and Gunther.
I don't know if I agree with this.
I don't know. They put a lot into this, though. They had crossroads, they had cutters, sleepers, power bombs, so many moves that literally could have been the end of the match. And it really could have gone either way.
The way that they played this up. Days.
I don't know if that would be said. But Cody picked Gunther up for one final cutter. And Gunther instead locked him in a sleeper. And Cody rolled over right out of Bret Hart's playbook and pinned Gunther. And then they shook hands afterwards.
In what's probably could be disputable for one of the best matches.
Of this year?
Bret Hart.
Oh, Bret and Piper?
Yeah, Bret Piper. With that finish. So it was interesting to see that they went with that route, but
to me it's Shayna and Kyrie, but But on Monday Night Raw, I think it was Ludwig Kaiser kind of like trashing Cody Rhodes or something, and Gunther's like, no. Basically like, shut up. You're wrong. Cody was good.
He was like, no, leave him alone.
Like, we both gave what we gave or whatever. And I like that they shook hands afterwards. It shows to me that Gunther can be that, like, strong champion.
And it's kind of like one of those things where Gunther is like, he's not your typical heel because he's legit looking for competition. He's looking for somebody better than him. And it was cool to see him showing that respect towards Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Which is, cool. I feel like that everything with the last matches that he was in with the Bret Hart and Goldberg stuff that he brought up, I feel like that almost was out of character for Gunther. But I enjoyed this match. Liv Morgan and Cody Rhodes celebrated to close the actual show, and then on the post show, they did a championship presentation where they had Cody Rhodes and Liv Morgan. I think they called it a vault, where they're gonna have those vault? Championships. Yeah, they.
They were gonna keep it in the vault.
But I don't know. It's not necessarily a vault. I think it's like it's there for people to experience at that whatever it's called. I think the WWE Experience or something there.
So hold on. So the vault, they were talking about a vault in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, it's
Or are they
staying at
talking
the
about that-
WWE experience. People can go in Saudi Arabia. They go, they pay money, they go and see all the championships and stuff. They have the crowns from Nia Jax and Gunther as well, from the King and Queen of the Ring. I
Huh.
saw that when they were
That's
showing
cool.
footage of it. So Cody
Yeah.
and Liv Morgan were given rings that they'll actually be able to wear instead of having those titles. Those titles are now in Saudi Arabia, locked away, and people can go behind glass and they'll see it. And I guess now they if every year this happens or every event, I don't know if it's going to be just specifically Crown Jewel or what. I assume it will be. If you're champion, you have the opportunity to get another ring or get a ring in the first place. So, and we know Cody Rhodes loves his rings. Like back when Ring of Honor had that problem, I think there was like a problem with the actual championship. He had to, instead of carrying a Ring of Honor championship, it was a Ring of Honor, like an actual ring. Which I feel like that might have been maybe the groundwork for what AEW used for the Dynamite Diamond ring, where MJF was like winner after winner after winner. I don't know if he had multiple rings or not, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But that's Crown Jewel. Moving over to Monday Night Raw, which I also did not realize was going to be at Saudi Arabia. So I thought it was cool to see Monday Night Raw in a big stadium platform, whatever, not a stadium, but maybe it was a stadium. But it was like a bigger version it was like a WrestleMania-esque setup. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We saw
I
SmackDown
agree.
one time, I think earlier this year.
Well, let's get on with it. Let's talk about some Monday Night Raw. Kicking off with Liv Morgan.
Yeah, she put herself over and she spoke about beating Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. Then Dominic went to talk about winning his match later on. But Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair interrupted. They mentioned Liv Morgan and Raquel like running up on them the other week. And Liv Morgan ran through, I should say, like Bianca Belair's like the EST stuff, like strongest, toughest, etc. And she was like, I think your partner thinks the same thing about herself. And Bianca Belair was like, let's have a match right here. You want the titles? Let's do it right now. And Adam Pearce showed up to stop them before anything could happen. But Liv Morgan antagonized Bianca Belair and got slapped for it. And then Adam Pearce announced a number one contender battle royal taking place right then and there, which was won by Io Sky. So Io will be facing Liv Morgan for that championship somewhere down the road.
That's going to be a great competition for her to go after. I'm happy that Io Sky won this matchup too. Would you have preferred somebody new, like Valkyria?
I mean, I don't know if I would say Lyra at this point is new, but I did think that we could have seen Lyra, because to me, even though like they've shown recently that maybe they're not exactly heels anymore, to me Io is still a heel.
Mm-hmm.
So to go do like a heel versus heel again, they just did Nia versus Liv, and that's heel versus heel. So I didn't walk into this match expecting Io to walk out as the winner.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always okay with heel versus heel, face versus face.
But you had the tag team champions in there, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill. You had the Unholy Union, Natalya, Ivy Nile, Maxine, Lyra Valkyria, Zelina Vega, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Shayna Baszler, Sonya Deville. And it was, at times, it was super chaotic and difficult to follow because none of them were in their normal gear. Obviously. Natalya, you can clearly see pink and black. You understand who that is. But a lot of them were in like black and like silver. so it was kind of difficult to follow. But it came down to the champions. It came down to Lyra Valkyria. It came down to Io. And then there was a spot where Jade and Bianca kind of tested, or not tested, teased facing one another, which goes back to what Liv Morgan was trying to like push in their heads. And Lyra stopped it. Io stopped it. They ended up getting rocked with Jaded and the KOD at the same time. But then Raquel Rodriguez got involved. She grabbed Bianca's ponytail. And Liv got up on the apron. She grabbed Jade Cargill as well. And both of them eliminated the tag team champions. And I would have been happy with either Lyra or Io winning. So I'm looking forward to seeing Io versus Liv, despite the heel versus heel aspect of it. The finish of this was fantastic. That German suplex from Io on the apron I thought was very, very nice. She,
that was a smooth finish. And that German suplex,
yeah.
she nailed that German suplex perfectly on the apron.
Yeah, that was great.
Just totally folded her up.
I don't want to see any more battle royals like this. We saw one, it was in April, to determine the new champion. That's when Becky Lynch won it.
All right with all of it.
Yeah, well, after that, you had New Day arguing with one another backstage, and it was cut off by a video of Bo Dallas with The Miz, which opens with footage of the Miztourage and Miz promising things to Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel that I guess didn't come to fruition.
I like the throwback.
Yeah. And Miz said that Bo has it all wrong. He's like, you want the final testament? I'm not with the final testament. And Bo was like, we never cared about the final testament. We wanted you. And it ended with Dexter Lumis choking the Miz out. I thought this was a very well done segment.
I agree. I thought that it was a very entertaining segment. I thought that the throwback was great. I think that dare I say, the acting on The Miz is awesome. I like the fact that he also told them, like, it's okay, like, he'll forget anything even really happened, as if it was going to make a difference if he forgot or remembered if something took place.
Right.
But I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Next up, you had War Raiders. War Raiders picked up the victory over the New Day. I'm happy to see War Raiders back, and especially in this magnitude.
But they said in this match commentary, they brought up how the War Raiders were both out with their injuries and had to change up their style in the ring due to those injuries. I'm not noticing a difference.
Looks the same to me.
Like, the only difference is
Right.
they're the War Raiders. They don't have their faces painted, and their old music is back. I don't know.
That's
like,
really weird.
Ivar still does that running crossbody that I pop for every time into the apron. So I don't think
I don't know.
I don't think anything changed with them. But Kofi Kingston
No.
went for Trouble in Paradise, and Xavier Woods tagged himself in. Commentary called it a miscommunication, and at first I'm like, it's kind of stupid. On Twitter, Xavier Woods tried to like make up for that and be like, well, here's video of when it actually worked. And he posted a video of a time where he tags in, then Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise, Woods does his move. This cost them the match here. The only difference between Monday Night Raw and the last time in that video clip that Woods posted on Twitter, Kofi was the one that went for the tag. On Monday Night Raw, Xavier Woods tagged himself in. I understand where he's coming from, but it was not the same.
No. I agree. I think that the only saving thing to this is Big E.
Oh, which, by the way, Adam Pearce spoke to Kofi Kingston, asked where Xavier Woods was. He wanted to talk to both of them together. he is going to be doing a 10-year anniversary episode of Monday Night Raw for the New Day.
Huh.
When that takes place, they didn't announce. But I feel like that's going to be the big blow up there.
I would like to see Big E, like them start to get very heated and maybe come to fighting each other. And then have Big E make a return to a huge crowd. But then what I would do is have Big E align himself with Woods and attack Kofi.
That's not happening. New Day is not breaking up.
And
That's
have
not happening.
Woods and Big E
0% chance that New Day is breaking up.
Woods and Big E as the heels with Kofi as the face.
No. All three of them are going to be heels if they're going to be there.
Heel New Day.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's going to be a heel New Day, but it's going to be all of them or none of them.
I don't know. I think it's the only way to get that.
No.
I don't know.
After that, Sami Zayn came out and Jay showed up to thank him for having his back at Crown Jewel. And he asked Sami if he accidentally kicked Roman or what. And then Jimmy showed up and told him, he's like, we saw him talking to Solo. We saw who Sami is. We know we saw him kick Roman Reigns on purpose. And like I said before, it's very clearly an accident. So I don't know what footage Jimmy's watching back. But Sami said that he doesn't hate Jimmy. He's not a bad guy. He just makes bad decisions. And at Crown Jewel, at Crown Jewel though, he came out for Jay. But for a minute, when all four of them were in the ring together, it felt like old times. And then it fell apart. And he said he can't do it again.
Just like old times, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. And then Jay asked him to go to SmackDown so the four of them can talk like family. And Jimmy got pissed off at that. And
Sami
Jay was
just
like...
Yeah. Sami was just like he was not interested in going through this again. He fought to prove himself, to prove his loyalty, to gain their trust. And it went out, turned the way that it did. And he's not ready to do that again. And once he got out of the ring and bailed, you had Jimmy yell out saying that he's not their blood, he's not their brother. But you had the entire crowd chanting Sami Uso.
Yeah, and Jay said that even though they're not blood, he sees him as an Uso.
Yeah, and he was just like, I see Jimmy Uso, I see Jay Uso. And then he just allowed the entire crowd to chant Sami Uso when referring to looking at Sami Zayn. I thought it was a solid segment.
Yeah. After that, Dragon Lee picked up the victory over Chad Gable. There was a segment that didn't actually air on Monday Night Raw, but R-Truth was walking backstage and he saw Pete Dunne. He didn't call him Butch. And then he saw Damian Priest and he apologized to Damian Priest for kicking him out of the Judgment Day. And then he ran into Chad Gable and he was like, wow, Kurt Angle's short. And that pissed Chad Gable off. It also annoyed Chad Gable that the Creeds weren't there because Brutus was getting married. So I thought that was pretty funny. He's like, what's more important, your wife or American Made or whatever the line was. But Ivy Nile was there for Chad Gable. And as far as the match goes, I thought it was a very, very entertaining match. Like, they threw so much into this match. It was like, spot after spot was like insanity. That back body drop off the apron from Chad Gable, I thought was absolutely nuts. I liked the German suplex stuff, which people were like, oh, if this happened in AEW. There's a big difference between no sell, no sell, no sell, and being fired up where you're both trying to outdo one another. There's a big difference between that. But Chad Gable at one point had his feet on the ropes for leverage, and Zelina Vega knocked them off. Then Ivy Nile locked Zelina in the Dragon Sleeper, which led to Rey Mysterio coming out to check on Zelina. That distracted Chad Gable enough for Dragon Lee to get the victory there. So I can only assume we're going to see Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio on Raw.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Main event saw
Bob.
Damian Priest pick up the victory over Sheamus, Dominic, and Seth Rollins to become the number one contender for that World Heavyweight Championship. I thought for sure last week that Dominic became number one contender by beating Damian Priest. But I guess it was just to get shot. It was just a shot at Adam Pearce considering Dominic for a title shot.
I don't know. I thought that was for number one contender, actually.
I guess it wasn't. I don't know. I guess it was just that Adam Pearce I think it was Adam Pearce will think about it.
I don't know. Now I want to go back and rewatch it to see if... Because I'm pretty positive that was number one contender.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it was just that Adam Pearce will consider it.
I don't know. I have to go back and re-listen to the verbiage.
But they did a good job at making it look like Dominic could win that match and become number one contender.
Especially in a matchup against a bunch of former World Heavyweight Champions and WWE Champions in the mix.
Yeah, the crowd was going crazy for Sheamus at times. Seth maybe could have won the match, but Bronson Reed showed up, and Seth, instead of going for that pin, went after Bronson Reed. And Bronson Reed cleared off the commentary table. Damian Priest and Sheamus went after Bronson Reed, and he took them out. And all while that was happening, Dominic was hiding outside the ring from Bronson Reed.
Smart.
Bronson Reed hit a tsunami to Seth Rollins off the barricade through the commentary table. And then Dominic snuck back into the ring and he hit a frog splash on Sheamus. Damian Priest broke that up at the last second. And then Dominic hit Damian Priest with a 619. He went for a frog splash and got rocked with that South of Heaven for Damian Priest to pick up that victory. And then we saw Gunther come out and stare Damian Priest. They stared each other down.
Yeah.
So we'll see Gunther versus Damian Priest in a rematch of sorts.
I see Gunther winning that one.
Yeah, I don't think Damian Priest is becoming the champion anytime soon.
Yeah.
So that's Monday Night Raw. Moving over to NXT. It was live in Philadelphia at the ECW Arena. Still very surreal that event took place, but it opened with Jada Parker picking up the victory over Lola Vice in a hardcore match. Dawn Marie was the guest referee. I think they killed it. Jada Parker started the match right away. Lola Vice did her spinning back fist to a chair, which I think is a crazy thing to do. I don't know if that hurts you or helps you, but they used so many weapons, and I feel like this went from 0 to 100 in regards to how many weapons and stuff that they used in that. At one point, Jada Parker did that drop that she does off a ladder, through a ladder that was bridged in the corner to Lola Vice. I liked the kicks from Lola Vice when Jada Parker had that garbage can over her. Jada Parker did another hip attack into the corner when Lola Vice was against the ladder. And eventually we saw Lola Vice have a sleeper locked in. Jada Parker smashes a a bath bomb, a brick over her face. I don't know what kind of brick looks like that. But she did another running hip attack and won the match. I wasn't expecting Jada Parker to win that, but I guess given her character's background, it made sense that she would have. So I thought it was cool all around. Seeing Dawn Marie back in a WWE ring was a trip. It's been years. We saw Javon Evans pick up the victory over Wes Lee. I popped at Rob Van Dam giving Kalani Jordan a pep talk before this match. But Wes Lee ends up attacking Rob Van Dam. And he said he made RVD's decision easy for him. I thought for sure this was going to lead to a three-way dance. I'm still like, I still don't get how it didn't. But I did like that in this match, Javon Evans had those red camo tights. They had a really good match. I kept waiting for Rob Van Dam to be like, oh, I spoke to Ava, I'm getting into the match, to make it like from instead of one-on-one, go into that three-way dance. But that never happened. Wes Lee ended up grabbing a chair at one point. The referee took it away. Commentary announced that the refs were going to be very lenient for this episode. So I guess not that lenient, but Javon hit that cutter. Wesley rolled out of the ring, and then Javon dove out onto Wesley. And Lee threw him into the commentary table. He went to use the chair regardless. And then RVD showed up. Javon hit another cutter and then hit a five-star frog splash literally all the way across the ring. I have never seen anybody jump that far before. That was absolutely insane. After that, Ava had a special announcement where she just announced that Deadline will be returning. It'll be live in Minneapolis, Minnesota in December. The Iron Survivor Challenges will be back. And then Robert Stone said that he doesn't think it was right for Ava to lie to the Philly fans. And said that the New York fans are more hardcore. The Boston fans are more hardcore. They're booing. They're very vocal about it. And when he started doing that, I was like, oh my God, we might see the Sandman here. But the lights go out and Rhino was there. He gored Robert Stone, and I thought that was dope. So even though it wasn't Sandman, we didn't get Sandman, but that spot with Rhino was awesome. And it was awesome to see Rhino back in a WWE NXT ring. He spent time in NXT as well. We saw Ridge Holland and Ethan Page pick up the victory over Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley. I was really hoping for that tie-dye from Bubba Ray, but he wore the camo. I'm pretty sure he was wearing the same gear he had for 2K24. But it was cool to see all of this. I keep saying that. It was very cool to see this episode of NXT. Bubba Ray and Trick Williams worked quite well together as a team. But when Trick went for a trick shot, Ridge Holland was able to roll him up and get that victory. And he and Ethan Page attacked Trick Williams after the match. Bubba Ray made the save. They did the what's up. And then they went looking for a table. Ethan Page said there will not be any tables used or ringside or whatever. And there weren't any tables ringside. So obviously a light bulb goes off in your head. You got to figure someone's bringing a table. And Devon Dudley came out with a table. I would have popped big time if Spike was there also. But out of all of this, I was very surprised that they didn't do a 3D. That was the most surprising. But it was cool to see the Dudley boys there. After that, Tony D'Angelo picked up the victory over Nunzio to retain the North American Championship. Earlier, they showed footage of the family at one of the cheesesteak locations. And Sean Spears and Brooks Jensen interrupted, which was then interrupted by the FBI. And Nunzio said that next week, Adriana Rizzo is going to be facing Nikita Lyons. And that he'll be facing him for that championship on NXT. Again, dope. Nunzio can still go. He hit that Sicilian slice. He looked great in the ring. And he ended up with Tony D'Angelo's crowbar. The referee made him give it back. And then Tony hit a huge spine buster on Nunzio. And Nunzio, in the middle of that, did that cross. I thought that was hilarious right before being slammed down. And they shook hands. They hugged afterwards. These are people I want in 2K25. I would love to see the FBI. I was disappointed that he didn't have the No Sleep Till Brooklyn theme, but he had the other FBI theme from WWE. But this was fun. After that, the main event, we saw Julia, Stephanie Vicor, Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace, and Zarya pick up the victory over Roxanne Perez, the champion. Cora Jade, Fatal Influence. Francine was ringside for this, so that was another thing that they had that was cool. Julia and Stephanie Vicor continue to be such a good team. They're such obvious singles stars, but they work so well as a team. The match got super chaotic at one point. A lot of referee discretion in this. But that tag spot from Jordan Grace I thought was awesome. She absolutely cleared house. And then Metaphor showed up. They had words with Julia and Stephanie Vicor earlier. Julia and Stephanie took them out. At one point towards the end, Zarya accidentally speared Jordan Grace. Maybe that'll lead to a match between the two of them. I don't know. But Roxanne went for a Pop Rocks. Zarya ends up hitting an F5 and won the match. I don't know if they're going to actually do... I can't see them actually doing a War Games between them. But this was a very fun episode of NXT. I would love to see a War Games between these women. So we'll see about that. That's NXT. I'm not going to do SmackDown this week. I'll cover anything like major from this week next week. So right now I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
Hey, this is always ready Matt Cardona, the internet champion, a.k.a. the $1,000 broski, a.k.a. the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting, the host of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 718. Moving back to AEW Rampage last week, you had LFI pick up the victory over Beef, JD Drake, and The Butcher. Quite the interesting team to face. I liked the stuff with Roosh and The Butcher. I liked the matchup between Black Taurus and JD Drake. Last week, I said I think Drillistico desperately needs wins. So I'm glad that he got a victory. He was on the winning team, but I wish he was the one to get the actual pin. Because he's got, I think, nothing in AEW. Taya Valkyrie picked up the victory over Zoe Lynn. This was a quick match, under a minute, but Taya Valkyrie should be well beyond this already. Commentary treated it as if this was her first time on television, but I'm glad she got a victory here. Her last TV win was July 2023. Stokely afterwards convinced Taya to, I guess he goaded her to go back out and beat Zoe Lynn back down. So we see that. We see Deonna Purrazzo. She seems impressed or happy or whatever. After that, Queen Aminata picked up the victory over Layla Gray. I want actual wins from Layla Gray. I said that the other day. When it's loss after loss after loss, how do you expect people to get behind a match? I don't get that. But my favorite part of this was definitely that Lotus lock from Queen Aminata. She pushed forward in that. I thought that was really good. After that, Top Flight picked up the victory over Dark Order. I didn't get this match. They have a common enemy. I don't think they should be fighting each other. Especially since they're all beat up and bruised from the Blackpool Combat Club. Action Andretti worked on Alex's ribs and it sounded like fans were booing him. I don't know if they're intending that or not. I don't know. And then on Collision, Jon Moxley cut a promo about Wheeler Yuta being a hometown hero. And Action Andretti interrupted. And he said he's from Philly. He'll face any member of the Blackpool Combat Club. And then Pac attacked him from behind. It set up a match where Pac obviously won. He made Action Andretti pass out, and he held on to the Brutalizer after the match. Orange Cassidy showed up, and he spoke to Wheeler Yuta about the times that they had in Philadelphia. And he said he misses the old Wheeler Yuta. And then Jon Moxley slapped Wheeler Yuta for not going after Orange Cassidy. So Wheeler Yuta goes outside, he grabs a chair, goes after Orange Cassidy, and he just stood there. And when Wheeler Yuta was distracted with Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy grabbed the chair away from him, rocked him with an orange punch. So I thought that was fine. It gives another level to Orange Cassidy. After that, Commander picked up the victory over Leo Rush. This match was wild. Some of it was goofy, but this was a fun match to watch. But like I mentioned the other week, it's AEW Booking 101. Because Commander has a match that he'll obviously go on to lose against Kyle Fletcher. But he needs to look like he can beat Kyle Fletcher. So they have him beat Leo Rush. Except for me, that doesn't work because Leo Rush has loss after loss after loss. How do you expect to get behind somebody when it's loss after loss? I just said that. And then on Collision, Kyle Fletcher picked up the victory over Commander. At the start of it,
Kyle Fletcher ripped off his pants. He's now a trunks guy. But the match was fun. But once you add in what I just said with the typical AEW booking, it's like watching a live indie show. Which I'll always say it's not a bad thing, but it's not meant for television. There's no story to that. It's one-sided. Afterwards, Mark Davis showed up and Kyle Fletcher walked off. But this was probably one of the most talked about matches from certainly the weekend. Rightfully so. Also on Collision, Lio Rush picked up the victory over Daivari. I think it might actually kill Tony Khan if they have somebody from the Premier Athletes win. Loss after loss after loss after loss. And when Lio Rush isn't losing, he's beating someone who never wins. So how do you get behind somebody like that? You could have incredible matches, but for a TV storyline, it does nothing. AEW Collision opened with Private Party having a celebration for their tag team championships. They announced that they'll defend the titles against anybody. All the tag teams were out there. There was an interview with the Acclaimed after this where it seemed like they could be heading to a split, where Max brought up MVP begging them to join the Hurt Business. But they announced that there's going to be a series of tag team matches leading to a number one contender match at Full Gear. Or not a number one contender match, just a fatal four-way at Full Gear. The Outrunners are going to be facing Top Flight. FTR faces House of Black. The Acclaimed faces LFI. And then the winners face Private Party. After that, Thunder Rosa picked up the victory over Harley Cameron in a Dia de los Muertos match. I liked the video from Thunder Rosa on Rampage with the explanation as to why the face paint and the Day of the Dead is important. But I had higher expectations for this match. When Thunder Rosa sent Harley Cameron through styrofoam and it was sold like a table, I believe they even might have said it was a table, you start to check out. And then Harley used a styrofoam skull, which was sold like a cookie sheet or something. And then she suplexed Thunder Rosa through more styrofoam. Unfortunately, the best part of this was the ending. With that, the garbage can was over Harley Cameron, who was sat in the corner. And Thunder Rosa used a table to run up like a ramp and drop kick her off of it. That was the best spot. Unfortunate. You have the Don Callis family pick up the victory over Joe Keys and Sean Smith. Same old stuff. They continued to beat them down afterwards, and Undisputed Kingdom showed up. They chased them off. Kyle O'Reilly looked on again backstage. I think we're going to see a reunion there between them. Later on, Roderick Strong picked up the victory over Shane Taylor. This got him tied with Adam Cole. But this shouldn't be a challenge for Roderick Strong. Shane Taylor is also a victim of never winning matches in AEW. He has 0 televised singles victories in AEW. And the worst part about this is the ending. The referee stopped the 3 count and then counted 3. I don't know what that was. That was weird. Main event saw Mariah May pick up the victory over Anna Jay to retain the championship. But like I said the other week, I don't think beating Layla Gray and Viva Van does anything for Anna Jay to gain momentum to face the champion and make it look like she could beat the champion. So this just makes Mariah May look bad. It took way too long. Take all of that out of it though, and the match was fine. If you look at it like an indie wrestling match, it was fine. Take out all the TV storyline. It was a good main event. So that's AEW Rampage. That's AEW Collision. Moving over to AEW Dynamite.
it opened up with the Hurt Business, with MVP introducing themselves, and then he said that if he offers you a business card and you accept it, it can change your life. If you don't, you get beat down like Swerve. And then Swerve came out and he was held back by officials. That's the end of that segment. Just an introductory promo from MVP for Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley and himself. I thought that was something that was necessary. After that, Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy versus the Blackpool Combat Club ended up in a no contest. I think the Blackpool Combat Club are now randomly known as the Death Riders. I don't know if I missed something, but they brawled before the match. I feel like if I was backstage at AEW, I'd be watching NXT to make sure I don't do anything similar. And I would have probably called an audible and not done that because Jada Parker and Lola Vice opened the same exact way. Just like minutes before that. And even more so with how the segment closed, I feel like that wasn't necessary. And then the next match, basically the same thing. Outside of that, I thought it was a pretty standard tag team match. Marina Shafir got involved. She got into the ring and just kicked the referee out. I thought that was really funny. John Moxley locked Orange Cassidy in a sleeper. Then Darby Allin hit him with a skateboard. Wheeler Yuta took him down. But Darby came back and got shut down again. The Conglomeration came out for their match, which chased them off. So that was the end of that segment. We go right into the Conglomeration, pick up the victory over the Learning Tree in a fight with no honor match. This was anything goes. Very, very chaotic. A lot of broken tables. There was a broken ladder. Mark Briscoe hit a froggy bow off the ladder through a table again. Brian Keith was there to break up that pin. It was Ishii, though, in the end, that pinned Chris Jericho. And I feel like they've been trying to set that match up for a while, so we're probably going to be seeing that. Adam Cole, after that, picked up the victory over Malachi Black. Adam Cole, again, dealt with the potentially hurt leg. Maybe not 100% confident in himself. And this match, I would have loved to have seen so much more of this match. In the end, we saw Adam Cole finally hit that Panama Sunrise. He hit a few super kicks. And then Adam Cole set up for the last shot. And Malachi Black sat there and begged him for it. And he just sat there and let Adam Cole hit him with it. He got up afterwards. And instead of shaking Adam Cole's hand, he hugged him. And then looked back as Adam Cole thanked him, which was very interesting. That seemed like a goodbye. I don't know if that means Malachi Black is done with AEW or what's the deal with that. I have no idea. But Adam Cole spoke about MJF afterwards and said that if he and Roddy both get 3 wins, it'll be a triple threat match at Full Gear. I thought maybe we would see match 3 be, since they didn't have any of them like lose right off the bat and have to face more people to get that third victory, I thought maybe match 3 would be Roddy versus Adam Cole. But now there's potential that it's a triple threat match. I think I almost prefer a triple threat match than singles match. But they showed a video of MJF reacting to that, and he called somebody and said he needs someone to pay someone a visit. I thought it was a bit goofy that they had that video right afterwards as if it was live, because it was clearly not live. It was like a very like well-lit, dark, but well-lit for like almost like a Hollywood movie sort of scene. So I didn't get that. But someone also later in the episode delivered MJF's ring to Don Callis and played a message from MJF saying that he should use it. And if he gets the job done, there's going to be more money for him. So I don't know what that's about. After that, Jay White was interviewed. Hangman interrupted and they brawled. They did so much of this on that episode, which I don't get. But it led to Jay White saying that he's going to beat Adam Page at Full Gear. I don't know. With the way that they're doing this, I don't know. We had the Patriarchy come out. Christian put Kip Sabian over for helping him. And then Hook came out, and Christian basically asked if he could be his new father. Even said he wishes Taz was dead. And then Hooks took security out. He went after Kip Sabian. He went after Christian. The patriarchy got away. I think we would probably see Hook versus Christian at Full Gear. We had Jamie Hayter pick up the victory over Penelope Ford. I wish this match was longer also. I liked most of the stuff that they did in this match. That sequence that had the cutter from Penelope Ford after she ducked the lariat. I thought that was very well done. Jamie Hayter eventually hit that lariat to pick up the victory, though. In the main event, you saw Ricochet and Powerhouse Hobbs pick up the victory over the Don Callis family. I think it seemed like a shoo-in to have Will Ospreay or Mark Davis be Ricochet's partner in this, so it was very surprising to see Powerhouse Hobbs there. He's been out since April, so it's nice to see him back. And Ricochet said that his contract with the Don Callis family expired. He was pissed off that they forgot about him. Outside of Hobbs being back, I could have done without this match. Kyle Fletcher attacked Ricochet afterwards with a chair. Ricochet literally just stood there and he looked at him and he waited for it. And Nigel tried to cover that up, but that was just goofy. And then there was another part with the chair that he just like looked back and waited for it to happen. That made no sense to me. And then Mark Davis came out. Kyle Fletcher yelled at him. They got into a shoving match. Lance Archer and Brian Cage attacked him from behind. And then Adam Cole showed up. He brawled off with Takeshita. And finally, Will Ospreay showed up to save Mark Davis before he got hit with the screwdriver. And Kyle Fletcher escaped before Will Ospreay could hit a hidden blade. How do you not have the big mystery opponent, tag team partner, be somebody in that storyline? Instead of making like a big deal about Will Hobbs' return, he's just a side character to a very clunky feud. So that was unfortunate. But that is AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
Hey there, pal, it's me, Mickey Mouse, and you're listening to Brandon Shoutouts.
Olivia Rodrigo's Guts World Tour on Netflix gets the first shout-out. It was released last week on Netflix, and it's from her show at the Intuit Dome out in California. But she told a story on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that she was detained when she was trying to come back into the United States from Canada, and they interrogated her. And she thought at first when they were like, oh, we need to speak to Olivia, they were just going to be like, oh, we want an autograph or something. And they ended up asking her if she'd ever been arrested before. And they asked her her name after like 30 minutes of interrogation. And she spelled it and everything. And it turns out they were looking for somebody who's the same age, also named Olivia, but there's a different last name. Her name was Rodriguez, who had been arrested. I don't know how you mess something like that up.
Do you believe it?
Yeah, why not? Why would she go on a show like that and lie like that? About being detained at the border?
Publicity to talk.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I feel like that's a plausible story. But I thought this was a solid concert, so check it out on Netflix.
I like a few of her songs. I think
she's
You've seen her live, right?
I've not, but I would have liked to have seen this
I
tour.
thought you did at like MSG or something.
No. I feel like she would have been a Jingle Ball person, but no, I haven't seen her.
Yeah.
But my next shout out goes to Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, which is a spin-off and a sequel to Wizards of Waverly Place, which follows David Henry's character's family and David Henry himself. Selena Gomez reprises her role as a guest star. Maria Canales Barrera and David DeLuise reprise their roles. I was definitely way too old to be watching Wizards of Waverly Place, but I enjoy the show. I like the Disney shows. I think they do a good job. And I think they do a good job on this one. So if you're a fan of the original series, I feel like don't go into it expecting that.
It to be good.
No, don't expect it to be Wizards of Waverly Place. There are certain aspects that you'll get, but it's not 100% what I was expecting. It's not a bad show,
I
though.
don't know it. Obviously I was too old.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know,
were way
being
too
40
old.
years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, I was too old for it. So
Yeah.
once I turned 52, I kind of retired from watching that.
I figured it would be more like Girl Meets World with how they were handling the original Boy Meets World cast. But I still think they did a good job with this. It's airing on Disney Channel first. The first 9 episodes, though, are on Disney Plus. So you can watch those. And then I think there's like 21 episodes in the season total, which it'll first air on Disney Channel, and then you'll have to wait for it to go on Disney Plus. That was a confusing aspect of this program. But check it out. My last shout out goes to Quincy Jones, who passed away this week at the age of 91. One of, if not the greatest music producer of all time. His career spanned decades, going all the way back to the 50s. He played with legendary musicians like Dizzy Gillespie. He arranged and conducted music for Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin. He produced music for film and TV, like In Cold Blood, The Wiz, The Color Purple, Roots, Sanford & Son. He produced some of the biggest records in music history. He did the stuff with Leslie Gore, like It's My Party, You Don't Own Me. The 3 biggest albums of Michael Jackson, Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. He did We Are the World with Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie as well. His company produced shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Mad TV. So the list of what Quincy Jones did in music, movies, and television goes on and on and on. He broke down all kinds of barriers. He was a complete trailblazer in that industry, in all those industries.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Quincy Jones, just study up on him, listen to some of the music that he's produced, made. But those are my shout outs. Now it's time for That is right, our mark out moment of the week. That ECW intro for NXT popped me big time.
Yeah, I'd agree. Same here.
Also,
That was just really cool to hear that theme song again.
yeah, the WWE Vault, by the way, posted a video, and I don't know if it's a new video or what, but they posted a video of Steve Blackman presenting him versus Shane McMahon and like talking about it beforehand. I don't know when the hell this would have been filmed. I didn't hear about Steve Blackman being at WWE at all recently,
Me neither.
but he's certainly older, so that was cool to see. I don't know if it's necessarily a mark out moment of the week, but Bill Goldberg announced that he's going to have a retirement match in 2025. I would like to see him work Braun Breaker before retiring. And I think a match with Gunther is something that has to happen.
I'm very happy that he's having this retirement match because this is something that he's been on the record saying that Vince McMahon did him wrong for. That he was told he was going to have a retirement match. And he was promised a retirement match, especially when he came out of retirement to wrestle again. He was told that he was going to have like an official farewell retirement match. And they never obliged it. And when he appeared on WWE recently, I said on the show that it seems like Triple H is going to repair whatever damage was conducted. And it seems like Triple H has been the repairman for, let's say, Goldberg, Bruno Sammartino, so on and so forth. So I'm really happy to hear that he is going to have an official retirement match because he deserves it. He deserves a big send-off. And I'm glad that he's going to have it. I do agree. I think that I do want to see him versus Braun. I don't know who I would want to retire Goldberg, though. Maybe it is Braun Breaker.
I think given everything that happened, it has to be Gunther.
Could be him too.
A few weeks ago, it was announced that footage was found restored and then screened at a film festival of George Hackenschmidt versus Joe Rogers from 1908, and it was released online last week. Prior to that, there wasn't any known footage of Hackenschmidt. So I think that's pretty cool. The match took place in London, heavily influenced by Greco-Roman wrestling. Hackenschmidt, if you're unfamiliar with him, he's recognized as the first world champion of wrestling. And it was really, really crazy to see footage from 1908.
That is wild.
So, and it's completely not what we would think wrestling is today. It was just a mat. There was no ring or anything. So that was very interesting to see. I would say watch it. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, how do you not watch what might be the oldest match out there? I don't know.
Books. Yeah.
But that is Marking Out episode 718. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can check us out on Twitter at Marking Out, on Instagram and YouTube at Marking Out 11. You could follow me at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney 85, David PTDPT, ProWrestlingTees.com/Marking Out. We'll get you some t-shirts. YouTube, I already said. TikTok at Marking Out, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, markingout.com, iHeartRadio. And we wish you the
best of luck in your future endeavors.